What's going on, new Era Sens fans? Today is February 8th, and we just finished our game against Edmonton. This was our 13th game of the season. It was not one to write home about, but it wasn't our worst one. Again, much improvement from the beginning of the season.
I think more improvement, I guess, from the first two Edmonton games, which is nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just a massive difference. So that I guess that's good. But this feels like a step back from what for the team, anyways, a step back from the two Montreal games.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't play as good as against Montreal, and part of it is because we can't play that good every game. The last two games against Montreal were pretty good games. But yeah, a lot of improvement since the last time we played Edmonton. And Matt Murray only let in 2 goals tonight against McDavid and Draisaitl, so that's really good. They got the empty netter at the end, but
thing that scares me is that they almost held McDavid pointless other than the empty netter, so you just know tomorrow is his night, right? So
yeah, tomorrow he's going to be ready.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the start of the game, I liked the first period a lot.
Yeah, it was a good period.
I thought that Murray that's three games in a row with a save percentage, not only over 900, but like over 940, I think. I don't know what last game was.
It was 938 yesterday. So
over 935. So good. That's exactly what we need. And he's put 3 in a row together, right? So
yeah,
completely different team.
Obviously, they look very different when your wins are so low. But like if Matt Murray keeps playing like this, that's the Vezina.
Yeah, honestly, like these are Vezina-like numbers for him, other than the goals. The record. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the last 3 games was a 947, 938, and a 941 tonight.
Just
like that's awesome.
So ideal, and he's again probably gonna be my first star. No, we'll get into that later. So, I mean, first period, other than not really any goals, but that was probably the Sens' best period. I would say.
It was definitely one of them. They were on the offense the whole game, and even their shutdown was great.
Yeah. I liked all the lines were rolling. I felt like the fourth line didn't get a ton of ice in that first period.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fights. Those were
like I was just gonna say the first 2 minutes of the game, you see Austin Watson and Jujhar Khaira drop the gloves. 16 versus 16.
I saw that you tweeted that. That was pretty funny.
And then after that, you have Erica. We'll talk about that one first. It was a poor excuse of a fight, really.
Not really much.
I expect a little more out of Austin Watson, especially right out of the gate. But it kind of set the tone for the game, and especially what.
So I thought that one was because right before that, Archibald took that run at Brandstrom.
Yeah,
and I thought that it was maybe in response to that, like maybe Watson challenged Archibald, and he was like no, and then Khaira stepped in. Maybe that was it, but that was kind of a nothing fight because Khaira didn't even play in those last 2 games in Ottawa, so I don't really know if anything sparked that. It's kind of weird.
He was just that was his job, and actually that was 1 minute and 20 seconds into the game, and that was the last of the game he saw.
Yeah. So
he was literally on the ice for that fight. I think he had less than 10 seconds of total ice time tonight.
Where is he?
Or sorry, Zach Kassian, not Jujhar Khaira.
Yeah, Kassian
had 33 seconds.
Kassian got hurt. I think they were saying
against Goodbranson. Yeah,
that was just a.
Yeah. So immediately after that fight, there's the face-off, and they just dropped the gloves right there, setting the tone for the whole game. Just kind of getting everything out of the way.
That first period was really high pace.
It was.
That was one thing.
Yeah, and so Eric Goodbranson goes at it with Zach Kassian, 2 real big heavyweights.
Yeah.
And what a fight, like just haymakers thrown.
Kassian dodged like at least 4 punches that would have just like put him right down. Like those crazy fight, just massive bodies.
Goodbranson's throwing some haymakers right at the beginning, especially at the beginning of that Kassian dodged.
Those are the kind of fights that are. It's like that's why people want fighting taken out of hockey.
Yeah, I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Me too. And I probably prefer fights where it's standing up for someone rather than both of those, which are just right off the draw. You just throw the gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't mind. I think we're going to see more of this moving forward in the Canadian division. Oh,
absolutely.
Just settling emotions from games before.
Yeah.
that was, other than that, not much else happened in the first period other than just some high pace, a lot of hitting, and pretty even both ways, to be honest. McDavid looked fantastic though.
Yeah, he did. And especially at the end of the period, he looked insane, and he made Stepan look absolutely silly. And he was going in right before the buzzer went off.
So I'm gonna give Stepan the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, he knew how much time was left. I think he was trying to cut him off so that he couldn't take a shot or anything.
Yeah, and fair enough. Which
is fair enough. I'd like to think he wouldn't expose himself that badly to Connor McDavid. Maybe not. We'll see. That's. I'm so glad that he didn't score there because that would have been on every highlight reel for weeks.
Yeah, and I don't think he has a highlight reel against Ottawa yet.
Yet is the key word.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that was a real close call. And even if it was, I had faith in Matt Murray this whole game. He looked incredible. Again, we just talked about his save percentage, but there was just so many. In the first period specifically, there weren't a lot of good chances. There was just a lot of chances.
And the only 2 goals on him, both 5-hole, not great to give up.
Yeah.
But both were because of defensive breakdowns. So he's not going to stop all of those. And at the end of the day, if he's letting in 2 goals a game, then so be it. You can live with that.
Nothing to complain about there.
Absolutely not.
So yeah, we can get into Dadonov's goal here.
Larson.
That was such a perfect, picture perfect goal for the Ottawa Senators season so far this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it's going to go in. Brady Tkachuk made a beautiful pass up to him right over top of everybody. And he starts breaking in, and he's got Adam Larson right on him. And he's doing a great job breaking through. And he takes the shot, and it goes in, and he looks a little confused. Then it shows the replay, and it shows Adam Larson actually flipped it into the net. So Evgeny Dadonov gets the second goal of the season, his second lucky one for a $5 million sniper.
Yeah, we can't complain anymore about the Sens not getting any bounces because that's as good as it gets, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. That's unless Marc Bergevin's going to come back and throw the puck into his own net for us, then I don't know if we're getting any luckier than that this season.
That was, so of Dadonov's 2 goals this year, the first one was pretty fluky as well. It just kind of slipped through Hellebuck. But that one he actually worked for. He got the position on Larson and he skated into the puck. That was a pretty good goal.
Oh yeah, all the effort was there, and you couldn't ask for anything more. He just didn't happen to finish it.
It just kind of sucks because since Larson puts it in, Tkachuk didn't get an assist on it, which is tough. It was a great play, but what can you do, right?
I was just explaining that to Brendan. He asked why doesn't Tkachuk have the assist on that? Well, yeah, just because Larson touched the puck, so it just goes to the last one. Yeah,
exactly. And then then later they go to. So that was the first time that the Sens had the lead, or not the lead, that they scored first
all season, I think, or unless it was the Toronto game.
2 other times, but they were saying that they've both games that they won, they didn't score first. So
yeah,
which is odd, and it's an odd trend that's continuing right now. So
yeah. And it's another game that we didn't, or it's our first game that we didn't allow a first period goal.
Yeah, that's true. And didn't score one. That was the first score of this first period in a long time, or the only one, I think.
Yeah.
Just disappointing that they couldn't, it felt like as soon as they scored, then it kind of that's when the ice started to tilt for Edmonton.
Yeah.
Which is strange. You'd think that a team that would be hungrier for more goals and stuff. But to be fair, Smith played a pretty good game.
Yeah, he did, which was quite surprising to me. 41 or 42 years old, I think.
Yeah.
And first game of the season, he's been in the injury reserve. But, he played an excellent game. All the credit to him. Ottawa had 25 shots, I believe.
28.
28, yeah. And he made some great saves. We had a lot of opportunities. And, we just couldn't capitalize on them.
Yeah, it's tough when they're handcuffed offensively, and that's kind of a trend lately,
Yeah.
Got 3 goals against Montreal, which is great, and then 1. So 2 goals in the last 2 games isn't ideal. And that's when games for Matt Murray where you need to take advantage of these games, I feel like. But they're starting to become normal, so hopefully he continues the trend that way.
Yeah, and like we've seen the offensive production, like our last game against Edmonton, we scored 5. Like we have it there.
Mhm.
And honestly, I can't just blame it on it, but we've hit some hot goalies, which is really unfortunate for our team because we've had such a struggle at the beginning.
Mhm.
But like Jake Allen was lights out the other night. Even like Mike Smith was incredible. Like we make backups look incredible, but we lit up Carey Price. Like
yeah, so maybe tomorrow will likely be Koskinen again. But then it'll also probably be Hogberg who needs to step up. So
yeah, we haven't seen Hogberg play very well yet this season.
No, now's the time though, for sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This team's on the uphill.
So yeah, I mean, and I guess to the Draisaitl goal, it felt like that was their 4th power play of the game, and it was after the power play. So the PK did a really good job tonight, especially against this unit, or like that top unit, just so lethal. But the way that power plays work, obviously, is you get momentum and your top players are out there, you're getting the confidence with the puck all the time. They have it the whole game, and they end up staying out pretty much. And then Ottawa is scrambling, like just bad play after bad play on one shift. Like, and then Brandstrom whiffs on it, and then it goes right to Draisaitl. And then that's just shooter beating goalie. Like 5 whole goals look terrible.
Yeah.
Either way, but it wouldn't have been any different if he went shelf or something. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think Brandstrom needed a little more effort there. And like there was a whole circus of events that led up to that. Ottawa just could not get it out of their own end.
Definitely.
And it started with Chabot. When it got dumped into the corner, Chabot just kind of left it there and skated by it. And it got picked up. And ever since then, it was just like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of just explosive offense from Edmonton there. And you could see it coming from miles away. Brandstrom could have prevented it at that moment, but so many people could have prevented it within the last minute and a half before.
The thing about, like, so I don't know if you watched on Saturday, it was the Battle of Alberta, and it was so late in the game, they were down by 2, the Oilers were, Calgary was up by 2, and McDavid and Draisaitl stayed out for the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds of the game. Like,
I saw
the entire
that
game. So I'm looking right now, and the site that I'm on here shows me power play time on ice, or even power play time on ice.
Yeah.
So both Draisaitl and McDavid and Nugent Hopkins, all of them had 5 minutes on the dot of just straight power play time, which is insane.
Wow.
You know. So and I'm looking at the rest, and like the rest of the forwards, Puljujarvi's about 3 minutes, Turris got a minute, but then every other forward is like less than a minute.
Yeah, like they just keep them out there and keep them flowing.
They keep flowing, and then that's why it works for them so well, obviously.
Yeah.
But man, the way, so I'm surprised, I'm shocked, honestly, that they didn't score a power play goal tonight.
Yeah, me too. Like they were all over the place. Especially like they just did everything right, and it was hard. It was hard to play against them.
They looked like a really good team tonight.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, and they did too against Calgary on Saturday, but they didn't have the goaltending. Koskinen wasn't very good.
Yeah,
but tonight Smith was there for them. He stopped the ones he needed to. So, you know, technically he didn't let in a goal to a Senator tonight. It was an own goal.
Yeah, really though.
I'm not. I mean, it's tough because they're 7-7, right? They're 500 so far through 14 games. But like, I still think that they're like a really good hockey team when they're all skating and stuff. And I mean, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Sens fan, but I don't think that playing the Sens now is any indication that you're looking better than you should be looking. Like, I feel like they've put themselves up in that, like they've moved on from what they were on that West Coast road trip.
Yeah, like everybody saw the memes going around about like Ottawa games remaining on the scoreboard for like, instead of games in hand, it's Ottawa games in hand.
Well,
like of course that was justified. Like we deserved that title.
Mm-hmm.
But now
that was before Montreal had played them, and I think it was a Montreal reporter who tweeted that out.
Yeah, and we just have gotten ourselves out of that hole. Even if we lose the next 5 games, and we play like this, we're totally different story.
I would argue that playing like this isn't going to keep up, just based on the fact, like, Murray isn't going to.
No, he's not going to finish with a .930 save percentage, but
right, he's not going to make 35 saves every night.
Yeah,
and he shouldn't have to. He might have to with this team, but just So they do need to pick up their pace, and I don't think DJ would be happy with a game like this.
Yeah,
You
no,
can be happy
probably
with
not
parts
overall.
of it. You can be happy with parts of it, but just not the full thing. I don't think that's me personally. Anyways, I'm not. It was frustrating to watch at times, and not just defensively. It was offensively too. They just
Yeah.
didn't have anything clicking.
Like I think there was a lot of offensive or like individual good work by individuals.
Yeah.
But just as a team, like for example, we have Erica Branson. He did excellent today. He's just not good at hockey.
Yeah.
Like he did everything he could and he did it well. He's just like he's not the guy that has to be in those positions. But
it felt like he was. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
like for what
just,
he did great tonight.
he was fighting the puck. It felt like, but like when he's away from the puck, I don't think he's that bad. But this is the thing too. So the Oilers have that many more power plays, that much, which puts players like Good Branson on the ice.
Yeah.
And the more he's on the ice, the worse he'll look. Obviously, if McDavid and Draisaitl are out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And on the other side of it, it takes Ottawa's top players off the ice. So they had. So then I'll flip the script and we'll go to Sens power play time on ice. No one had more than 2 minutes and 6 seconds on the ice at the power play because they had one power play, and I'm not counting the Nugent Hopkins one.
Yeah, like
literally 2 calls went in the Sens' favor today. And it was that broken stick, and then the
delay game.
The delay game that wasn't a delay game.
Yeah,
but that's not. There were more penalties than that. And they just didn't call anything.
Yeah, and it's so actually, brutal. Well, let's get into that a little bit.
Let's do it.
Jammy here says someone send me the Zebras Addies. I just want to talk. Yeah, it was a rough game. I mean, it started with the hook on Timmy, I believe. He didn't even touch the hands.
Oh my God. That was the 4th power play. So that's the one that they got.
Was that the 4th? What was the first one?
The first few were like, okay, I can see why that's a call. Like I think Shabbat got a tripping one. Which
Shabbat got the trip. That was justified.
That's justified. And then there's I can't even remember.
Tierney got the interference.
So that's on McDavid. He's skating up the ice.
Yeah.
And McDavid, he goes so fast that when he slows down, he can sell it easily.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. But you can call that on any player anywhere, but it's Connor McDavid. So obviously it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's a penalty that I'm fine with because it happens all the time.
Yeah. It sucks to get that call, but whatever.
Yeah.
But then Nugent Hopkins gets the broken stick penalty after that.
That was right after, eh?
Yeah.
That felt like a little bit of an even up call, which is fine. Like I'll take that.
But still, like he held the stick for less than 2 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
And it was broken. He held it in his hand while he was pinned against the boards, and then played the puck with his feet. Yeah. Like it's not like I'm not complaining about the rest because we lost this game. Like I'll defend Edmonton calls.
Oh, for sure.
They were terrible. So yeah, that shouldn't have been a call.
No.
I don't really remember the Zaitsev penalty.
So that one was also a trip. So we got 3 penalties that were pretty. So the Zaitsev one was Barry like kind of cut across and Zaitsev just reached behind and then Barry like toe picked on his stick or something.
Oh, right.
He went hard into the boards. That one's fine.
Yeah.
But man, that Stützle one was just kind of the last straw because I think before that maybe like people had a few like could have been called on Ottawa too, like to get them on the power play.
Yeah.
And the Stützle, so the ref in the corner called it, and I'm not a referee, but the way they're set up is like they're set up so they can both see the ice at all times.
Yeah.
So Nugent Hopkins is cutting across and his back, so he's a lefty. So his back is to the referee that's in the corner.
Yeah.
And Stützle reaches into the hands, but doesn't hook or even slash. He just puts his stick there.
Yeah.
And Nugent Hopkins, so the ref would see Stützle's stick coming from the back, and then they'll see Nugent Hopkins let go with his bottom hand.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's trying to sell it. He was just letting go.
Yeah.
And the ref calls a hook because they think that, and I guess the way his stick went in, but like you play it and he basically didn't even touch the hand.
No, hardly at all.
It's things like that that'll kill momentum for any team, and especially a young team.
Yeah, it did.
And that wasn't even the worst call of the refs made all night.
Yeah, I mean, this delay game, like he was probably 2 feet away from the blue line in into the neutral zone, and he just took his hand, batted it out of the air, and right over the glass. I don't know I used to be a referee, actually.
Okay.
I don't know if the call was because he was in his own zone or because he used his hand to put it out of the play.
So I think they were arguing about whether or not. So you need to be in the defensive zone if it's a delay of game penalty.
Yeah.
So I think they were arguing about whether or not he was inside the blue line.
I think so. And
Yeah.
that's what makes the most sense. But I can't say anything to it, but I don't know if there's a penalty for using your hand to put it over the glass.
No, I don't think I don't know if there should be.
Okay, I didn't think
unless
so,
you close it, unless you like close it and throw it. But
Yeah.
the thing that I'm thinking is, okay, so that was after the Stutzel call. So maybe they're thinking in their minds, okay, that was a bad one. We need to even it up here.
Yeah.
Which is entirely possible. And that's the way the NHL reffing works, like it or not. They even up calls. And so they're conversing, and then they're like, if they legitimately don't know, they're supposed to, and you would know this, if you don't see it, you don't call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But they were probably just assuming, because Larson did skate back into the blue line, so it's very possible that all four of them didn't see it.
Yeah. And it was close, regardless of whether they saw it or not. It was close. It looked close when you saw the hand hit the puck. It didn't look close, but it's also fast.
And we also have the benefit of replay, and they don't.
Yeah.
So, but
which needs to change, I think.
Yes, definitely, especially on those penalties. Those are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And man, at the end of the game, like the Sens somehow, I don't know how they did it, because the Oilers were dominating in the third period, but they end up having a one goal, like down by one goal going into the third or the last couple minutes. They pull Murray early, get possession, they get set up, and then like Batherson's got the puck at the top, complete control. It's like a power play, and then all of a sudden the whistle goes, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then they start pointing to center ice, and so Colin White knocked the net off, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he knocked it off, because I wasn't looking at the net. I'm watching Batherson.
Yeah.
You see the replay. White was trying to go to the front of the net and gets a full-on cross-check right in the numbers.
Yep.
And hits his face on the post.
Yep.
But it's his fault that the net came off.
Yeah, and
that is brutal.
And it's called his fault because the face-off is now outside of the zone. So
it's ridiculous.
And I thought he got a penalty there, and I was so mad. I deleted my tweet real quick after I got mad.
Well, I wouldn't have even been mad if they didn't call a penalty on Russell. But it's like if the puck goes out of play. Like if White were to shoot the puck and it goes off Russell, it's in the zone. That's the face-off's in the zone because it goes off the Edmonton player and into the mesh.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's the same thing. He pushes the player into the net, face-off inside.
Yeah,
so
100%.
They had a rough night, and it's piling up. I think it was you who said it on Twitter, like the North Division refereeing has been suspect.
It has, and not even just as an Ottawa fan. Like,
no, everyone.
I'm not for blaming refs for things.
Me either.
Like, they're always going to make wrong calls, and sometimes it's against you, sometimes it's for you. But this was just unacceptable. Like, and the way it has been through the whole North Division, like, and can we actually just talk about this for a second? The Carolina-Columbus game last night.
Oh my God.
So, I just need to make sure that I understand this right, because they challenged the goal for an offside, and the ref said that it was no goal, right? Or that it was still a goal. Yeah,
they said it was inconclusive, but it was a pretty quick call, is what they said. Were you watching the broadcast?
No, I wasn't. I just saw the highlight.
They broke through it pretty quickly. I could break it down and kind of explain
go ahead.
Okay, so basically it was a penalty, it was like a minute left in the second period, let's say. So like just under a minute left in the second period, Carolina scores, and Columbus challenges it for offside. They get the challenge wrong, and it was a quick decision. It looks close, but they come out and they're like, call on the ice stands, good goal.
Okay.
So then they go on the power play because you get a penalty if you get a challenge wrong.
Yeah.
Columbus kills the first 45 seconds. They go into the intermission. While they're in the intermission, the linesmen actually come out and call Tortorella out so they can talk to him. And they explain to him that they actually didn't look at all the video evidence. So it actually was offside. But instead of taking the goal away, what they did is they take the penalty off. So there's no penalty anymore. So they just start the third period. But it was a 3-3 game, and that goal made it 4-3. So they kept the goal. And so they were talking about in the intermission, why wouldn't they just start this, like we've seen
20,
this before,
20 minutes and 45 seconds in the
right?
third.
Like just play the rest of the second as if there was a goal there, especially in such a tight game. It just that's not on the refs more as it's on the league, but it's an overarching problem for sure.
But I think it's the ref's call to say that we're going to take the goal off now, is it not? I mean, the league can call and get them to ring the buzzer or whatever. But
it's an unprecedented thing. Like I've never even seen anything like that.
No, like that's unheard of.
But it's weird that they would take the penalty off
and not then, the goal.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay. I really don't understand that. Something has to change with these refereeing.
And so they're going 4-3 into the third period, and the game ended up 6-5 for Carolina. So it wasn't the game-winning goal or anything, but they still won by 1 goal. So I don't know. Yeah. I think the one that bothers me like the most by far is that second game against Toronto when Stützle scores his first goal. It's 3-2 with like 5 minutes left or whatever it is. And then he's going, I don't know what happened first. I want to say he's going into the corner.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry. The one that happened first was when he got cross-checked by Muzzin. So when he's coming out in front of the net and Muzzin just full-on hacks him, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes down. Okay, like maybe that happens all the time. The cross-checks in front of the net are so, like, who knows what's legal anymore.
Yeah.
But then when he's skating into the corner later in the shift, Muzzin tries to cut him off. And Muzzin clips himself on Stützle's skates and takes a tumble, and Stützle gets a penalty. Boom, game's done.
Yeah, it's just so inconsistent.
So people were saying on Twitter, someone said this, that the no fans probably affects the refs more than it affects anyone else.
Yeah, that's
based on the fact that not that they're calling plays based on the fan reaction, but it's just the momentum of a game and how like things are shifting. And I think that's a valid point, to be honest. Like I think the way that I mean, home fans obviously don't like any call. Like it's definitely a factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's hard to use that excuse, but it is a factor. Like, regardless, they still have to be better. Like, it's just not good enough.
I got another one. So in this game, I don't know if you noticed, it was in the first period, but Murray, like, you'll see goalies do this a lot when there's an opposing player cutting across their crease. They'll just kind of pivot out and use the whole crease as if they're going to collide with them. So Murray did that, and McDavid was cutting across, and the ref was like on the hash marks, and you could see them going back and forth, and the ref like held up too. He's like, "That's the second time you've done it." And Murray kept pointing in his crease, like, "I'm in the crease," and they showed the replay in the intermission, and he's right. He was in his crease.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the ref's warning him, like, don't do that. But if, let's say, Murray were to do that, stay in his crease, and McDavid gets clipped or something, who do they call? They can't call Murray on that because he's skating right through the crease, right?
Yep.
That would be the rule.
Yeah. I think it was Ben Bishop when he was in Tampa. He came out of his crease and like he came out of the paint. So like I don't know what the call would be in the paint, but he came out of the paint and he tripped somebody. I think it was on Washington. And he just got him with the toe. He skated out to make sure he could cut him off, and he was given a tripping penalty. And I think that was like his third penalty of that game.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but if it's out of the crease, that makes sense.
That makes sense. But I don't know what would happen if it was in the crease.
It should be, and I mean, if Murray doesn't hit the deck, then maybe it's a penalty on Murray. It would look worse. But if Murray also hits the deck, then you got something on your hands, right?
Yeah.
I just found it weird that the ref was warning him not to do that because that's his ice, like that's his real estate. So
he can do whatever he wants in there. Really.
I don't
know. Anyway, so do you want to get into your 3 stars?
Sure. Again, it's tough to. You go first this time. Let's switch it up a little bit.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my 3rd star to Dadonov. He just obviously he got lucky with that goal, but the drive was all there. Like he deserved that goal, whether he shot it in or not. Just the drive was there. He was all over the place. He made some great plays in the 3rd period. I think he almost had a breakaway. And and I actually forgot to mention. So not only did 16 and 16 fight, and 44 and 44 fought with Cassian and Gabranson, but 63 and 63 with Ennis and Dadonov.
I thought when you said breakaway, you were going to mention Connor Brown again.
Well, yeah,
guy can't buy a goal. He can't.
Yeah, no,
just no finish.
He got the tip in the last game, and that's about it.
That's it.
But yeah, Dadonov just played a really solid game. I'll give my second star to. This is a tough one. I think I'm gonna give my second star to Nick Paul.
Yeah, he was
Nick
flying
Paul
tonight.
he had his legs. He knew what he was doing, and he wanted to do it really bad.
Yeah.
He made some beautiful offensive plays, and it was great to see him with that confidence still. Like, you see guys like Zaitsev. Zaitsev started off the season hot. So did Paul.
Yep.
Zaitsev kind of came back down to earth. Paul, not really. Paul's still playing really good hockey.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of Paul, Ottawa just brought up Logan Brown. And I think I'd like to see the Paul Brown Batherson line again.
So would I.
Yeah. I think that could get Paul buzzing too.
I forgot about that line because Belleville was so dominant last year, and those three was the year before.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough to forget about, or easy to forget about them. Sorry, but that'd be fun to see. I'm sure we will. They'll throw them together if they're all out there.
Oh, at least some point. Like, everybody's played together.
Yeah, it's so fluid.
Yeah, and my first star, I gotta go Matt Murray again. And like I keep saying this, he's just gonna be my first star for the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah.
I think, like, I listen to the Steve Dangle podcast a lot, and I feel like I'm starting to sound like Jesse Blake last year. He was just William Nylander every game. William Nylander. But yeah, so I think Matt Murray is kind of going to be my guy now.
I would hope so. And honestly, it might become tired at the end, but if Matt Murray is in our 3 stars every game, I
have no problem saying he's my first star every night if he deserves it.
I want him to be. That's a good sign for this team.
Yeah.
Those are good picks. I'm gonna go for my third star. I'm gonna go with. I've got my first 2 figured out. It's just I'll go with Dadonov as well. Definitely like the way he was skating, and he's been inconsistent with that. Like, he looks like he's not really trying a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely liked what he was doing offensively. You could tell the goal kind of gave him life. Man, and we didn't even talk about that play at the end of the second when, like, him and Batherson had that, like, little give and go kind of thing.
Oh,
and Smith just robbed them. It was a great save.
It was.
So that was great. Second star, I'm going to go with Murray for my second star, just because I thought that the 2 goals weren't soft, but he could have had them. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It wasn't shots where I was like, okay, there's no chance there. It was pretty square. It was just shooter beating goalie, and they were both 5-hole. Don't look great. Nothing wrong. But again, he was just lights out. Other than that, and then first star, I'm going to go with Zub.
Really?
Because this is kind of I don't know how many games he's played now. 4, maybe?
I think
5?
This is his 4th game.
So every game he's played, he's just such a calming presence back there.
He really is.
He's not a graceful skater, but he's pretty quick, right? He's got good mobility. He's very good on the puck, makes really smart plays, and he's becoming one of those guys where I'm just confident when it's on his stick,
Yeah, and so this is his 5th game.
Yeah.
He played about 13 minutes for each of his 2 first games. 15 minutes in the last game, but then the one before that and tonight he played 18 and 19 minutes.
Yeah,
and he was noticeable out there.
He was.
You can trust him, which is something Ottawa hasn't really had in a while. I almost want to say since Mark Mathot, just somebody reliable that you can trust, for Shabbat or Branston to trust,
for sure,
so they can jump up in the play. And if Zub can turn into anything like Mark Mathot, that would be a huge win.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at some other stuff here. He was. So this was his 5th game.
Yeah.
And he's a -1. It looks like. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Yeah, he's been even in every game except for that last one against Montreal,
which is nuts on a team like this, And he has had those 2 assists in his first games.
Yep.
Yeah. So I really like the way. I think he's going to be in this lineup for the rest of the season, anyways, and we'll see.
I think so too.
He fares for sure. I was going to go ice time. We didn't even really talk about that.
Yeah.
So Norris and Batherson did not play a ton.
No, not at all.
13 minutes each, pretty much.
And I also want to mention Brandstrom. And arguably, we didn't have any power plays, really.
That's why, I think.
But only 15 minutes. Like, that's not as much as I want to see, especially because he started the game beside Shabbat.
I was going to throw Mike Riley. I think he played a lot better tonight, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a better game.
Yeah. We got a comment. Is there anyone we could trade for to help us score some goals, you think? I don't know if there's any one guy that will help the issue.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a collective thing. I think it's a chemistry. I mean, we don't even need to trade for him. I honestly think if you bring Logan Brown into the lineup as soon as you can.
Yep.
I mean, Dorian said it for some reason on Toronto radio. He was asked about him at the beginning of the season, and he said something about if we were to have 10 power plays a night, Logan Brown would be in the lineup because he's just a power play specialist, I guess.
Yeah, he really is.
And the power play I feel like we've been raving about the power play all season, but it hasn't been great. It's bottom of the league, right? Yeah. They do need to score on it. And I feel like if you bring Brown up, it's so much more flexibility for both units, you know?
Yeah.
Norris is kind of stranded. Norris and Brandstrom are kind of stranded on that second one in terms of talent.
Yeah.
So you throw Brown out there, and then that's more than half the power play is lethal at this point. So
yeah,
I wouldn't trade for anyone. I don't know if there's anyone to trade for, to be honest, but I would put him as someone who can change right away. I think he'll be in the line. Sorry, I think he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. That's my guess.
What's our schedule the next couple days? I don't think he plays tomorrow. Maybe the game after.
So they go to Winnipeg after this for 3 games.
Yeah, Winnipeg on Thursday. I think we'll see him in Winnipeg.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Galchenyuk played 5:59, so 6 minutes tonight. I think they'll yank Galchenyuk out.
Yeah.
That's such a small sample. That's like you can't even say if he played well or not.
Yeah. I mean, in those 6 minutes, I did feel like he was always buzzing around.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, again, nothing to really base anything off of.
I don't know who they'd pull out, to be honest. I mean, you can say, I want them to pull out Stepan and stuff. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think – I think he gets traded, back to Arizona for a third. Something like that.
If they get a third out of it, then sure. But I don't think they will.
I don't know. Yeah. Stefan's a whole different conversation we don't have time for. So
yeah. That's the thing. There's been no injuries up front.
I know. We've been pretty solid, knock on wood.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. So we have Quinn Murphy wanting to go through the stats real quick. So yeah, you see Evgeny Dadonov with our only point tonight. Glad it was him, honestly.
Yeah.
Face off, we have Brady 75% on the first on the power play, which is great. Paul and Stefan are struggling on the face offs this game.
So this was Paul's first night taking reps at center, I think.
Oh yeah, it is. Paul's a winger that. That just completely went over my head there,
and that's not ideal.
Yeah, no. And especially that he went 33% and still took 9 face-offs.
Yeah. One thing about Norris, 55% on the face-offs, 5 for 9. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I noticed 2 or 3 times he made some pretty good defensive plays.
He did. He looked like a really good two-way center this game.
He did. So maybe I feel like DJ is kind of harping on that for him, which if it's working, then sure. Because the offense comes for him, right? He got a point last game, and it'll continue to come. I want Tkachuk to do more, which I know is asking for a lot, but
this game was one of his weaker games. I mean, 3 shots and 3 hits is pretty good, but compared to his 8 hits and 5 shots a game, he was just almost invisible tonight. Obviously, the assist doesn't show up here for that beautiful goal.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah,
but other than that, he was still pretty invisible.
Yeah, So more from him, and I think he'll be the first to tell you that, obviously. So we'll see what he does tomorrow. That's the best part. Back at it.
And then back on defense, Thomas Chabot leading the way with 25 minutes, which is I'm glad he's playing that much because he can and he deserves it. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, -2 though.
Yeah. Not great. One was the empty net, which isn't terrible.
Right. That's a good
But,
point. Good point.
But still, like only -2 on the team. Oh, and Colin White. But yeah. Anyway, Zaitsev, 20 minutes. He didn't look terrible tonight.
I think we should just get used to saying that, to be honest.
Yeah, like he's not looking great or anything like he was at the beginning of the season. Still only the 5 points in the first 4 games, I think. But yeah, like just he hasn't looked bad, which is all we can ask for out of him.
Just don't want to notice him.
Yeah, really though. Same with Mike Riley. Nothing noticeable about his game tonight. He played pretty well. Yeah, that's pretty much it for defensemen.
So I feel like Wolanin is in this game tomorrow or the game after. I think that's what's going to happen. So
and then Riley comes out, and that sets the...
Is Riley going to be the one to come out, though? Because I feel like, obviously, Brandstrom's been good, but Riley had a better game tonight, I think, overall.
That's a hard one, because I feel like Brandstrom had a better game, just a lot less ice time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think you bring in Wolanin... Like you're not rushing to get him in, because when he left, like he's better than Riley, but he's not a game changer, and you're gonna bring him in, and he's not gonna be on that power play because of Brandstrom. So my question is, like, who do you pull out? And I think it's a tough call. But again, if you're a DJ Smith, you've lost 2 in a row. Who's gonna give you the better lineup?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I'm not paid to make those decisions.
Really though. And then just last thing here before we head off, Quinn Murphy also wants to know why Stefan's playing more than Josh Norris. And I think it's really situational. Like I said, same as Brandstrom. We just haven't played much power play this game.
I mean, he did play a minute and a half more, so not a ton. But still significant.
Which a lot of it was on the penalty kill, which Josh Norris isn't on. But still, Stepan did play more than Josh Norris. But
that's a good point.
Special teams is a big thing there, so...
I don't think so. We can focus on Norris and Batherson not getting a ton of ice time, but then you go to Stützle, who got 17-25, which is one of the highest ones he's had all season.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So I'll take that any day of the week. He looks fantastic out there. You see those plays he made against McDavid in the second?
Yeah. He's competitive with that skill level.
Of course, and he wants to be. He's going to be up there. Like that, if all goes according to plan, he'll be up there in the league soon, and those are going to be the guys he's going to have to compete against, right?
Yep.
And he's, that's great. I love to see that. All
right. Well, that's a lot of time that we spent tonight. Again, sorry, Riley. But yeah, this was a good episode. Not a bad game to talk about. Even though we didn't get the win, which is unfortunate, but oh well. Thank you everybody for watching, and take care.